also. Meanwhile, ultra-liberal freshman Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will serve on a financial services committee in the House overseeing Wall Street. She tweeted, "I'm looking forward to digging into the student loan crisis and exploring the development of public and postal banking. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to sit on this committee as a freshman." With Maxine Waters chairing the committee, should Wall Street, well, not should Wall Street be worried, how much should Wall Street be worried? Joining me now, a senior fellow for the National Taxpayer Union, Mattie Duppler. Mattie, just how worried or concerned should Wall Street and the consumer be?
Hey, Charles. Well, I want to point out a couple different changes on financial services. It's not just Ocasio-Cortez who's a new addition to that committee. It's Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts, Katie Porter from California, a lot of fiery new freshmen who will be joining Maxine Waters in that jurisdiction. So the question now, of course, is how does Maxine Waters manage that unruly group of freshmen combined with some moderate Democrats in that committee? It's interesting because Ocasio-Cortez in the past has said she really wants to take on the Trump deregulatory agenda. But I would remind her that the most significant unraveling of financial regulations actually happened at the hands of Congress last year with the passage of a bipartisan bill that got 67 votes in the Senate to try and undo some of the Dodd-Frank regulation that was really creating a lot of mess in financial institutions. So that is something that will be certainly on the mind of other members who are already sitting on that committee.
And those are the small banks that even Frank himself, Barney Frank, after he left Congress, admitted went too far. You hurt these small banks, you hurt the chances of small businesses, small lenders, borrowers rather. But, you know, I think she's got a kinship with Maxine Waters. I've been watching a fiery Maxine Waters go after Alan Greenspan and Ben Bernanke, and she has complained bitterly about things on a local level. She wants more community reinvestment. She wants to bring the big banks to their knees, or at the very least, do some sort of redistribution of their income. So I think this is the perfect team for her. And we know that they can't do much with the Senate, perhaps, and the presidency in Republican hands, but they can make a lot of noise and perhaps change the public discussion.
You know, that will be an interesting question to watch. Maxine Waters, of course, is no shrinking violet. She is not someone who is going to take a back seat and allow these freshmen to come in and set the agenda. She is also a very seasoned member of Congress who has spent many years building up relationships within that committee, as well as with stakeholders who are affected by what the business that committee does. So I don't think that she's going to want to walk in to this Congress and start throwing bombs and ruin all of that work that was that she's put into place. I would look at how the Senate dealt with that banking bill last year. You saw Elizabeth Warren actually running fundraising emails against her colleagues, Democrats in the Senate, for supporting that bill. I think we'll see a lot of political tensions be borne out by the work that the committee takes on the House side with these kinds of personalities on that committee.
Mattie, before I let you go, a lot of Democrats, I call them elite, established Democrats, as well as a lot of folks on the Republican side, dismissing AOC, or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I think they're making a huge mistake. I don't know that she's going to flame out or anything like that. And she does represent something, not just in her district, but around this country, a sort of anxiety, if you will. And I think it's a mistake to just completely dismiss her.
I agree with you there. And listen, as a young woman who's involved in politics myself, I'm excited to see someone who is just as energized as I have been for the last several years, have a position in Congress who's able to do something about the things that she thinks is wrong with this country. We, of course, have very different political visions about what those solutions are. I would just caution that there are a lot of new members coming into this Congress. She is a freshman member. She doesn't have a seat on Ways and Means. So when we talk about some of her ideas, let's acknowledge how much opportunity she has to enact them into policy.
All right, then you think about throwing your hat in the ring, too. It's not too late. All right, Mattie, thank you very much.
Thanks, Charles.
All right, coming up later in the show, a new investor survey finds growing anxiety over the global economy. So we're going to dig deeper into that. Also,